Welcome to the City of Cedar Falls Committee of the Whole meeting for this March 4th, 2019. I'll now call this meeting to order. We have, I'll say, 3.5 items this evening. First is a Planning and Zoning Commission interview, then the Municipal Operations Program Works Plan, and bills and payroll. Before I get started, I would like to recognize a staff member for the council and the public that has served the city for 15 years. She usually sits next to my side over here without any attention, but not tonight. I do have from staff to her on our behalf a 15-year pin for Lisa Roding, and she is our controller and city treasurer here at the city, so congratulations. Moving along, the Planning and Zoning Commission interview, I'd like to introduce and invite Leslie Prideaux to come forward, give a brief background. This is for Planning and Zoning Commission, and before Leslie starts, the admin committee, as we call it, had interviewed Ms. Prideaux last week with questions between myself, councilman, and some city staff. So a brief introduction, we'll open it up for questions from council.
All right, great. I'm a Cedar Valley native. I grew up in Waterloo, and then I took a brief stint of a decade in Iowa City, Iowa for my undergrad and master's degrees. And then I returned to the area to take a job at the University of Northern Iowa, where I serve as their Director of Alumni Relations. And I have been there for 6 years. So I have a great interest in serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission, just to serve my community and to help wherever I might be needed.
Appreciate that. We'll open it up for questions from City Council.
Leslie, I want to thank you for taking the time to meet with the mayor and Susan and myself the other day. I think we had a good discussion. I think you provided a lot of good information for us, so I appreciate your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw in your application, but so this is kind of a loaded question, but are there some trends that you see happening in Cedar Falls that you feel especially that are promising from your perspective?
Absolutely. You know, when I moved away back in 2003, I just thought there wasn't anything to do in the Cedar Valley. There wasn't anything happening here, and there wasn't anything for me. And I was hesitant to return to the community. But when I came back, you know, I had been coming back to visit my family in very short stints of time. But when I came back for the interview and really considered what it would be like to live here again, I visited Main Street, I walked on the hill, went and visited downtown Waterloo, and there's so much promise here and so much growth. I just look at the health of our Main Street as an indication of the potential growth for our city, and so it makes me really excited to be here and putting my roots down here.
Good. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Anything further from council?
Mr. Ing, sorry, I forgot to put on my mic. Yes, Leslie, just curious to put that question on its head. Do you see particular challenges for our growth as well?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges is taking smart growth principles and balancing those with the desire of community members. But I do believe in smart growth principles, use walkability of neighborhoods, mixed use neighborhoods. I just feel like it's a good way to be good stewards of both our land use and then also our financial resources.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything further? Thanks again for your willingness in coming in this evening.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, introducing our MOPS Director for Mark Ripplinger for the Municipal Operations and Programs Work Plan. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Every year, we try to come, Municipal Operations and Programs comes to City Council to have you take a look at what we are planning to do in 2019 to get your endorsement for our project. So I'll start that presentation right now. Throughout the year, we hear from our citizens, we hear from our the constituents, the mayor, city council, members of our boards and commissions of what they would like to see occur on some of our public property, whether that's parkland, public lands, Veterans Park. You've known that we've seen some improvements, rec trail systems and such. So we listen to all those suggestions. We talk about those with our Park and Recreation Commission. We talk about those during our capital improvement planning process. And that kind of guides us of what we're planning to do each year. And so I'll go through a few of those. Within your council packets, We have a full list of our projects. Of course, I'm not going to go through all those tonight, but I'm just going to hit some of the high points of the projects that you will see us doing this year with your endorsement. The first one, City Council actually approved the contract for this project, the Place-to-Play Playground. It's a $1 million project in Green Hill Park near Algonquin and Ashworth Drives. That project is funded with about 80% of grants and private funding. The restroom, we actually have started. As you can see, I probably took this picture about 6 weeks ago. We don't have any snow on the ground, but that project has been started. We have been working with an architect. They have designed this to be ADA compliant for young children or adults, and this will be a family-oriented restroom facility for anyone to use. Not just that utilizes that facility, but any sort of park usage in that area. Another one that we had a group of individuals, the Friends of Pedersen Plaza. This plaza was constructed when College Street was reconstructed several years ago. It's basically brick pavers. We have some trees. We have some concrete benches. And it was a facility that basically was put together with conservative elements. But the individuals who are interested in this think there's more potential. They would like to get more shade in that facility, make it more inviting for individuals to utilize. And so we worked with Ritland Kuiper Landscape Architects, and they drew up several different concepts for this park. And what you see in front of you there would be removing some of the linden trees, replacing those with a variety that roll a little bit quicker, changing some planting beds, and then also incorporating some covered patio type furniture there. And then they're also working with the adjacent Jimmy John's to see if they can utilize that building for public art, murals, and those sorts of things. So that project is underway with fundraising right now, and the first level of funding that would pay for the landscaping portion of the project is about $35,000, and they're hoping to get that started this year. The second project is something that's been going on for a few years, but we think we have momentum to get it completed. The existing park signs are all routed wood, and those served our community well for a number of years. However, they're getting to the point where they're very difficult to maintain. We have to take them down, reroute them, paint them, and then the elements really don't do them any favors after a couple of years. So we have developed a new signage for our park system. City Council has seen this before, and we're hoping to complete this in 3 phases because it will come out of our general revenues. It's not a GO project or bond or any sort of project other than our general revenue. So we are hoping to start this in our parks and public properties north of the Cedar River. Next year, we would look at the central park of the community, and then lastly, the southern park of Cedar Falls, completing anywhere from 12 to 14 signs a year. This is an entrance feature that was paid for with donations also. This is a new entrance sign at Veterans Park. The signage that you see on there was just completed a couple weeks ago, or within a week, I should say. I took that picture last week. All we really have to do at this particular project is to do some landscaping around this. And again, this sign was funded through 2 donations from the public. Another project that the Veterans Group would like to see, and this is a project, again, that the City Council endorsed, was pursuing a Gold Star Family Memorial Monument for Veterans Park, and this is to memorialize the families who had loved ones that were killed in action at different type of events. We are just getting to the point where we have a finalized cost estimate for this project. You will see that either on the next council agenda or on April 1st, but we were just able to get all of our costs put together so City Council is aware who would be funding certain portions of the project, and if staff needed to assist, what that assistance would be. So you'll be seeing that come in shortly. Another project we'd like to complete that I think would make our pit toilets, our drop toilets, a little bit safer and also a little bit cleaner would be put roof structures over the 2 of them at Big Woods Lake, and then one at Prairie Lakes Park. And again, this would help keep some of the leaves out of them. It would be easier to clean. And we'll also have a system that we can put in there that will draw some of the odors out through a piping and fan type system, which should help some of the individuals when those get to the point where they're kind of difficult to go into because of their nature. We have been working on brick repairs on the Parkade and College Hill. We're going to continue to do that. The good news is, though, there's projects coming up for to reinstall new brick down there. So we will keep what's there safe, and to the point when the City Council lets the contract to put new bricks on the Parkade system. The Parkade is a little bit worse off than College Hill, but that's because the Parkade was done several years before the College Hill bricks were. We have some strategic planning projects that are going on. I think the council knows about. Visitors and Tourism is working with the Institute for Decision Making at UNI. We have been working with them with small focus groups, with the full Visitors and Tourism Board. And their goal basically is to see, and Leslie is on our board, she indicated all the different changes we've seen in Cedar Falls over the past number of years. We have new hotels in town, new activities. The goal of this strategic plan is to come up with a recommendation to City Council. Is there better ways to utilize their hotel motel dollars? Should they be reallocated to capital projects? Should they be reallocated for staffing or for events and those sorts of things? So that's going to be one item you'll see coming forward is a recommendation from the Visitors and Tourism Commission to provide the council information to see if they want to change the allocations for hotel motel dollars at this time. The Hearst Center, we've talked about additions to that facility for several years. There's really no consensus from the Art and Culture Board of what that should look like. Heather Skeens and Kim Manning are working with a focus group to help identify what direction they would suggest the City Council consider in the future. So they continue to work on that strategic plan. It was several years ago, there was an idea that we would put a huge addition onto the Hearst Center. Now there's some thoughts that maybe would it be better relocated downtown? Would small additions at the Hearst Center meet our needs? So those are that's the type of information that the City Council will see when the strategic plan is put together. And then, of course, the Recreation Center needs assessment. We went into this to see if there is a need for the Recreation Center to expand, and if so, in what areas. This community has undergone a big transformation with a lot of private investment in wellness, whether it's aerobics or whether it's ellipticals, whether it's strength training, those sorts of things. And so there's a lot of individuals who might not be utilizing this facility, but are utilizing private sectors, Snap Fitness, and some of the a new one that I think Brent Dahlstrom has completed out on Viking Road. So those the RFP is actually due tomorrow at 5 o'clock, or excuse me, tomorrow at 2 p.m. And so we'll see what sort of recommendations we get from them and bring those back to City Council to approve, affirm to keep moving forward with that. And we'll get into some of the actual public works and street sections responsibilities. Every year, unfortunately, utilities fail. So whether it's water lines or electric lines, Cedar Falls Utilities will go in and either repair those with their current staff, or they will hire consultants to do, or they'll hire construction crews, consultants to do that. And then what we end up doing, since we have the equipment to put street panels back in and do concrete pours and get those back into shape, the city Public Works street section will complete those improvements, and then we will bill those back to Cedar Falls Utilities. So it's a pretty good partnership we have going there. Recycling continues to expand. This is at near the intersection of Hudson Road and Green Hill Road by the water tower out there. We've had some roll-offs out there for a number of years. Everyone is aware that that's a section of the community that's growing quite a bit. So we were planning to take out additional roll-offs out there and hard surface that area so it's easier for individuals to get in and out of there. A little bit cleaner environment. It actually helps us pick up those roll-offs so we don't have mud and gravel and those sorts of things that we're dealing with. And University Avenue, there was an article in the newspaper that's going to be wrapping up here shortly. Our staff will make sure that the landscaping portion of that continues to be maintained. Certainly the first 3 or 4 years are very important to make sure everything's watered, weeded, to give that plant material that's in there an opportunity to grow. And so we will be concentrating our efforts on that particular corridor. Here's a project that it's either through engineering or it's through municipal operations and programs, but this is a property down near the Paw Park, across the street from the Paw Park, that's adjacent to the El Dorado Trail. Council is aware that that was a popular area for individuals to park and access the trail in that area. So there is some money in the CIP to hard surface that, make it a little bit safer to enter the facility and exit facility. A lot of times people would actually head in parking there and then back onto South Main to exit. So you'll be seeing some improvements in that area too. And then some of our traditional services continue. Intake repairs, crack sealing. We have a couple crews out doing that all year long. That ends up extending the life of our streets to keep the water out from infiltrating under the panels and then freeze thawing and those sorts of things. Of course, traffic signal repair, compost facility. We are continuing to cut down ash trees, so we have a lot of material out there that needs to be processed, and we're fortunate we've been able to give some of that away, but we need to keep those efforts up. And then, of course, our fleet maintenance. Individuals are busy fixing our equipment to make sure we're able to do our jobs on the streets and parks and those sorts of things. And then planting trees. We talked a little bit about EAB. I think I just want to let the council know that we're believing that there's going to be quite a bit of, it'll probably be the first year where you see a lot of damage from EAB, a lot of trees that are really going to be pretty obvious. We do have 2 crews out there now. We have the traditional arborist crew, and then we also have a street crew that does work. I will say that we have not taken an ash tree down since the 2nd week of January, because all those individuals have been completing snow removal. But as soon as we get to the point where we're past that, we'll get out and continue to work on those. So that's kind of the highlights we have this year. As I indicated, the council has our full list in their package, so if you have any questions on any particular project, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Open it up for council, Director? Yes.
Island Park, Mark. I think there's something on CIP for the project itself, but it looked like you had that planned for the spring, at least to come up with or research a plan.
I will have to, we met with the CAP students, and they put together a plan that looked pretty good. I think staff has to analyze that a little bit better. We'll continue to work with community development on that to see what we can do, at least from a staff perspective, to minimize any impacts. But that's going to be a big project. It's going to take quite a bit of study because anything we do in there is going to impact the watershed. Sure. So we want to make sure anything we put in there isn't going to impact the floodplain or floodway, or when the floodwaters recede, that whatever we put in there is not going to be damaged after that.
Sure. You also had noted on there seal coat the parking lot, and I assume that's the newer part that.
That's the new section we have over by the beach house, and typically we don't seal coat our parking lots that use asphalt millings for a couple of years so they can settle. And in this particular case, it might be a while if we get some high water this spring.
Sure.
Anything else for Director Ripplinger? I had a quick question. There was news that might have only been Minnesota, but because of the cold snap we had, that might have eliminated the emerald ash borer, or anything seeping down to our area? Any talk where it might slow it down or get rid of it?
The information we've read online is the polar vortex that came down may have eliminated as many as 85% of the larvae, but that would just basically slow it down.
Yeah.
They'll keep reproducing. There's really nothing you can do about it. But instead of, in some ways, that might actually help us because we could catch up on some of our tree removals. But it won't. It will certainly not totally eliminate it.
Okay. Very good, thanks, Rip. Very good. Appreciate the update. Item 3, is there a motion to approve bills and payroll?
So moved.
So moved.
Could we get an endorsement from City
Oh, I'm
Council? for
sorry.
an
Yeah, we need an endorsement. Is there a motion to endorse the update moving forward?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All,
Aye.
thank you. Thanks, Rip.
Thanks, Mark.
And I had a motion and second on bills and payroll. Did you get that, Lisa? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Motion carries. That'll conclude this evening's Committee of the Whole meeting. We will begin the top of the hour for our regular City Council. Thank you.